Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your #1 source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
Breaking news at 8 o'clock following a crash on the Beltline right now around Lake Boone Trail. I'll show you how bad the delays are and which exit to avoid.
Waking up to gray skies again this morning. It's some patchy drizzle in a few places. You can see the gray skies here in Zebulon. I'll show you when we start to see the skies clearing coming up.
It is a scramble to avoid a government shutdown. New developments overnight from Capitol Hill as the deadline inches closer. What it could mean for you if that deal is not reached.
And Wake County schools are getting a new leader. What we know about the new superintendent and his experience that he brings to the state's largest school district. We will be sitting down with him later on today to learn plans about that. We'll talk about that coming up. I'm Michelle McConaughey.
And I'm Jeff Hogan. It is great to have you along here straight up 8 o'clock on our Friday. Still gray out there.
Not the prettiest start.
Been for a couple of days now. But some sunshine on the way and beautiful weekend. Elizabeth Gardner in the WR Severe Weather Center. What's ahead?
Yeah, we take a live look at Fayetteville. Lots of cloud cover right now. You know, this time yesterday, we were starting to see those clouds thin out a little bit. It may be lunchtime or just after before we start to see the clouds breaking up today. 64 is our temperature. We have a north wind at about 5 miles per hour. Not going to be as breezy today as it's been the last several days. Our cloud cover forecast really starts to break up a little bit once we get to 9 or 10 o'clock this morning. It may be a little overdone. We may not actually start to see those clouds breaking up until a little bit closer to lunchtime, but this shows the percentage of the sky that would be covered with clouds. I certainly think that by the time we get to 3 or 4 o'clock, we could be looking at about 50% of the sky covered with clouds. Our temperatures this morning are in the mid-60s as you're stepping out the door, except 59 up in Roxborough. We do climb into the upper 70s this afternoon with increasing sunshine. It's going to be a big weekend. We have bluegrass and several big college games across our area. I'll have the forecast for all of that coming up, Brian.
All right, 8:02 right now. Let's take a look at this live camera at 440 at Lake Boone Trail, where we have a crash blocking the right lane as you head through that interchange. You can see where Raleigh Fire and police are on the scene there. We had an ambulance stop by for a little while. I don't think there are any injuries, serious injuries with this, but you can see it's a pretty big scene there with, looks like 4 vehicles involved. Traffic getting squeezed into those 2 lanes, the left and center lane, and we're right now measuring a 9-minute delay on 440 westbound from 87 around to Wade Avenue. There are 2 slow spots right now on 440 westbound, one between 87 and Newbern Avenue with a report of a disabled vehicle there. Then as you head out toward Capitol Boulevard and Wake Forest Road, traffic's flowing freely till you hit the Lassiter Mill Road Bridge area heading out toward Glenwood Avenue. That's where it really starts to slow down. So if you're trying to pick up 440 westbound and you're getting to it from Six Forks Road or Glenwood Avenue, you're going to run into those heavy backups related to that crash out at Lake Boone Trail. But if you can pick it up from Lake Boone, you're in pretty good shape heading down toward Wade Avenue. Just want to give yourself that extra time this morning. Also tracking a crash with some pretty significant delays over in Hillsborough on 85 northbound, right around Churton Street. It's between the I-40 split and Churton Street, and you can see those backups beginning before you get to that split. From the 40 split out to Durham, it's about a 4-minute delay right now on 85 northbound. Pick up 85 north from Churton. You'll be on the other side of those backups. Some of the other trouble spots we're following right now, a report of a crash on Capitol Boulevard around Starmount Drive. That's near Trawick Road with some southbound delays there heading away from the Lewisburg Road merge. And there's that incident out on 40 westbound at Newbern Avenue. That disabled vehicle, not hearing about any lanes that are blocked right now, but you could see some police activity over on the side of the road. And in Durham, just getting word of a water main break in a neighborhood there, Elizabeth Street at Dowd Street. Avoid that area if you can as they work to repair that water main break.
Thanks, Brian. We're now well inside 48 hours from a possible government shutdown. Lawmakers worked late into the night to vote on several funding bills on Capitol Hill. This is a live look there this morning. Despite that, there's no clear path right now for Congress to avoid the shutdown. The House did pass a bill to finance the State Department, the Defense Department, and the Department of Homeland Security. Those bills, though, are expected to be dead on arrival in the Democrat-controlled Senate. A government shutdown is expected to happen midnight Saturday night, tomorrow night, if the Senate and House cannot both pass funding. A shutdown could have enormous effects across the country as many government operations would come to a halt. It could include air travel as tens of thousands of air traffic controllers and Transportation Security Administration personnel work without pay.
And here locally, we're following some breaking news. Raleigh police are working to make an arrest after an early morning shooting that left 2 people hurt. Officers were called to Western Boulevard near Gorman Street just before 2:30. 2 men who were shot had been taken by a friend to the hospital with injuries that are not life-threatening. There's no word on what may have led to the shooting. And fire crews in Smithfield are investigating an early morning fire at a McDonald's. Crews responded just after 2 this morning to the McDonald's on West Market Street. They were able to contain the fire to the kitchen area because of some overhead sprinklers. The kitchen will have to be repaired and the health department will have to re-inspect the area before that business can reopen.
A Raleigh police officer is hurt after a crash involving a patrol car. It happened around 8 last night on Newbern Avenue. The officer was taken to the hospital and is expected to be okay. No word on the other driver involved. The cause of the accident is under investigation. And Raleigh police are investigating a shooting that sent 1 person to the hospital. That happened on South Saunders Street last night. The WRAL breaking news tracker was on the scene while several officers and first responders were there. We're told 1 adult was hurt and taken to the hospital. They are expected to survive. No word yet on a suspect or arrests.
The state's largest school district is getting a new superintendent today. Wake County Schools is swearing in Robert Taylor. WRAL's Brett Neese joins us live with background on Taylor and how his experience will help lead the district. Brett.
Hey, Michelle, good morning. Yeah, this is an exciting day for the Wake County School District. They will be swearing in Taylor in a ceremony this afternoon. That's all set to go today. But he's got a lot of challenges ahead of him as he takes the reins here in Wake County. But take a look. This is Robert Taylor here, and he takes over for Caddy Moore, who retired back in June. And here's a little bit of his background. Taylor was recently Deputy Superintendent of the State Department of Public Instruction. Before that, he was Superintendent of Bladen County Schools for 10 years. So a lot of experience coming in. WRAL will be sitting down with Taylor later today to find out about his plans for the school system. But here's some of the challenges ahead. He's going to steer a district struggling to hire and retain staff. He'll also take on efforts to speed student learning to combat pandemic-related learning loss. Taylor will also have to manage student assignment as the district's population outpaces space in some areas and the district loses students to new charter schools in other areas. And he's going to have to oversee an ongoing safety audit and actions to improve school safety. A lot ahead for him, and his first day on the job officially is October 1st. Live in Cary, Brett Neese, WRAL News.
This morning, hundreds of people in the Triangle are waking up without a job after cuts at one of the world's top gaming companies. The CEO of Cary-based Epic Games announced the cut of roughly 16% of its workforce. That's more than 800 people. He says the company has been spending way more money than it's earning. The layoffs come months after Epic Games paid a hefty fine to the FTC, settling violations of child privacy laws.
They had a settlement with the FTC for $520 million. Okay, which is a large amount of money for any company. For a private company in North Carolina, it is a huge amount.
It is unclear if these layoffs affect Epic Games' plans to build a new headquarters at the former Cary Town Center Mall.
For the first time in years, the IBMA Bluegrass Live will be outdoors. That's not the only change for one of Raleigh's biggest annual events. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey explains this is the second to last time this festival is happening in Raleigh.
Between COVID and getting rained out last year, the festival is finally back outside, and music will be bumping here at the Red Hat Amphitheater all weekend long, starting tonight. This event has been happening in Raleigh for over a decade. The International Bluegrass Music Association announced that the festival will have one last run in Raleigh in 2024. Lauren Gold with Visit Raleigh says the city offered a competitive bid, but IBMA headed in a different direction. The annual event has raked in about $88 million for the city over the years.
It worked. This grand experiment to see, quite frankly, whether fiddles and banjos could become an economic driver, which they actually have.
Now, organizers say that they do have plans to create a new, innovative music festival in 2025 once the Bluegrass Festival leaves our area. And if you want to come out today, you can always watch some free shows downtown starting at noon, and then the ticketed shows will start here at the Red Hat Amphitheater at 5 p.m. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News in Raleigh.
And WRAL is a proud community sponsor of IBMA Bluegrass Live. You can catch some of your favorites live starting at 11 o'clock this morning. Brian Trader is heading out at 11 a.m., followed by Keely Arthur and Elizabeth Gardner. Matt Tallhelm, Scott Mason, and Ashley Rowe will be there later tomorrow. And the Wilson community is honoring the life of a five-year-old boy who was tragically killed. How his legacy is giving children a more accessible way to play ball.
Well, millions of children could soon lose access to daycare. The domino effect this would have on families and the economy.
Cloudy start today, but we should see some sunshine breaking out later this afternoon. After that, expect a good bit of sunshine for the next week or so. Some beautiful weather in our forecast. I'll have hour-by-hour details on the Bluegrass Festival, as well as some big football games in our area coming up.
.13 is the time right now. Live look at Goldsboro. Good morning to you. And as you watch WRAL News, available on Spectrum and the WRAL app on your TV or streaming device, we are all seeing a bunch of gray out there. It's going to change soon, though. Never fear. It is Friday, and Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. We're going to have a great weekend ahead.
We do. We've got beautiful sunshine in our forecast, very pleasant temperatures. It's awfully gray out there right now, and this morning we also had some drizzle across parts of the region. So Goldsboro and Fayetteville, Apex, Chapel Hill, all looking pretty gray this morning and cool, too. You see people out there walking up and down Franklin Street in their sweatshirts. Chapel Hill, courtesy of Top of the Hill Restaurant. But we should see some sunshine this afternoon with temperatures climbing into the upper 70s. We'll start to see the clouds retreating from west to east. So if you're in some of our eastern counties, it may be pretty late in the day before we see much sunshine. But Saturday and Sunday, we may start each day with a little cloud cover, but should end up with sunshine. We'll take a look at Futurecast and roll things through. At lunchtime, we're still fairly cloudy, but by the time we get to 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we're really starting to see those clouds break up around the triangle, and then eventually around 4 to 5 o'clock around Rocky Mount and Goldsboro. And then we'll see fairly clear skies until tomorrow morning. Tomorrow, we might start off with a deck of clouds again, and then by lunchtime, we'll see the clearing with partly cloudy skies during the afternoon. We continue to have our flow coming out of the northeast. That keeps our temperatures a little on the cool side, and then we'll repeat again on Sunday. Could start with some cloud cover, but ending up with mostly sunny to partly cloudy skies in the afternoon. Louisville plays this evening at NC State, 7 o'clock game. If you're going to be tailgating, looks good, 78 degrees with some sunshine. Should be partly cloudy this evening. Temperature at the end of the game around 66 degrees. And we take a look at Notre Dame. Big game here. It's College Game Day from ESPN. They're going to be looking for thousands of people on campus for game day. And I've heard from several people that have been to one of these before. They say it's so much fun. So at 9 o'clock when they go on the air, temperatures will be in the mid 60s. It'll be, wear your Duke sweatshirt kind of weather. At 7 p.m. for game time, 71. And then as the game wraps up, 66 degrees. So big day on the campus at Duke for tomorrow. Tracking the tropics, Philippe and Rena sitting there very close together. The thing about having these two storms right beside each other is they sort of pull from each other. So it kind of keeps either one of them from strengthening very much. If one of them begins to weaken, it could allow the other one to strengthen. But right now, the computer models just have them sort of wrapped up within each other and fizzling out in the North Atlantic. Rena winds at 45 miles per hour. Again, moving pretty slowly for the next couple of days and then swinging northward and fizzling out in the North Atlantic. And then here's Philippe also with winds at 45 miles per hour, not moving very fast right now, but eventually turning northward. It's kind of interesting to see the computer model plots as we put them here together. They both end up sort of in the same place. And again, that could keep either one of them from becoming very strong. It looks like they'll both dissipate. Beautiful weekend for us. We'll see lots of sunshine in the afternoons with highs near normal, Brian.
It is 8:16 right now. I want to update you on this crash on 440 westbound around Lake Boone Trail. That live camera showing Raleigh police still on the scene of that incident with the right lane blocked. We are measuring a 7-minute delay overall from 87 to Wade Avenue. Some good news over on the east side of Raleigh. That earlier disabled vehicle that was slowing traffic on 440 westbound from 87 to Newbern Avenue has cleared. So now all of the delays that we're seeing are confined to that stretch between Glen Glenwood Avenue down to that crash site at Lake Boone Trail. Once you get through that, it looks fine heading to Wade Avenue. So you might consider picking up 440 westbound from Lake Boone Trail this morning if you're on that side of town. Try to avoid picking it up from the Glenwood Avenue area. And a reminder, with the police activity on the side of the road, you do need to move over at least one lane if you can. Some of the other trouble spots that we are following around the Triangle in Durham, some breaking news of a water main break out at Elizabeth Street at Dowd Street. Live pictures from the scene there showing that water main break, and we're not sure when they're going to be able to get all of that open. This is in a residential area northeast of downtown Durham. Just a heads up through there, you want to avoid that stretch of Elizabeth Street right around Dowd Street if you can, as they continue those water main repairs this morning. Elsewhere around the Triangle, we're going to head out to check in on conditions in Hillsborough with a crash on 85 northbound between the I-40 split and Churton Street. You can see leaving the Efland area some pretty heavy delays on 85 northbound before you get to the 40 split, but it looks like traffic's clearing up right around that crash site itself, so we may see some improvement there over the next little while. Quick check of those major approaches into Raleigh. They're looking pretty good with the exception of those usual delays on southbound Capitol Boulevard coming in from Wake Forest.
Thank you, Brian. Well, parents, imagine this. You're taking your child to daycare next week and then suddenly find out that it could be closing. Advocates say that could be a reality because federal funds for child care providers expire this weekend. More than 3 million children could lose access to daycare. This could also have a major impact on the economy. Officials with the Century Foundation say if parents lose child care, they will have to cut back on work hours or leave jobs altogether. Fewer people in the workforce means fewer people spending money, and the economy will feel it.
A new ball field in Wilson honors the life of Cannon Hinnant. It is now open there. Hinnant was 5 years old when he was shot to death while riding his bike in his father's front yard. About 400 people came out to the grand opening of this baseball field last night, including Hinnant's family. The community of Wilson stepped up to the plate, raising more than $1 million to make this field happen.
To see these sweet children just running around, ready to get on this field to have a good time. It is justly called Miracle Field.
The director of Parks and Rec for the city of Wilson said that we won't even really be able to see the impact of this field until a few years down the line. The Miracle League games will be played weekly on that Cannon Hinnant field. WRAL is going over the edge for Special Olympics today. Ashley Rowe will rappel 30 stories down the side of the Wells Fargo building on Fayetteville Street. Some of our other WRAL colleagues have done this in the past. Casey Hintz did it last year. Elizabeth Gardner has had her turn in the past. The fundraiser wants participants to get outside their comfort zone and try something that may not come easily to them. That qualifies. You can catch Ashley going over the edge live in our noon newscast. You can watch it everywhere you stream WRAL.
Man, they are brave. Well, nearly $1 billion is up for grabs this weekend. The Powerball jackpot now an estimated $925 million. It is the fourth largest in the lottery's history. Nobody won on Wednesday, so you have another chance to cash in tomorrow. If you win, you could take home a lump sum of $432 million. You can tune in to WRAL tomorrow night for the live drawing.
Senior adults can lower their blood pressure by adding more steps to their daily routine. That's according to a new study that says adding 3,000 steps a day can lower blood pressure significantly. Researchers focused on sedentary older people, 68 to 75 years old, walking 4,000 steps a day. By increasing to 7,000 steps, blood pressure dropped 4 to 7 points. Researchers say the drop lowers risks for premature death and stroke.
The Earth heating up and ice melting is putting penguin populations at risk. The U.S. National Snow and Ice Data Center reports levels of Antarctic sea ice hit record lows this winter. The vanishing ice is impacting thousands of emperor penguins who rely on it for raising their young. The ice melted away and the baby penguin feathers were not ready to help them swim, so 9,000 of them drowned. In Switzerland, the country's glaciers have lost 10% of their ice volume in 2 years.
This loss equals the entire loss we had between 1960 and 90. So we have a big acceleration, and this acceleration in the glacier melting, this is due to climate change.
The loss of glaciers and sea ice could cause global temperatures to continue spiking. This is because of a lack of white, snowy surfaces on Earth limits how much sunlight is reflected back into space.
We have some exciting news to share about our fearless leader here at WRAL. The North Carolina Association of Broadcasters honored our news director, Rick Gall, with a Distinguished Service Award. The award recognizes outstanding service in the broadcasting industry. And of course, we couldn't agree more with that. Rick has been an important part of our station since 1995. He's been serving as our news director since 2005. He led our team through the biggest stories of our time, including COVID pandemic, where we had to learn new ways of producing daily newscasts on the fly. Rick is a public servant at heart and very deserving of this award.
I've been afforded the opportunity to be a journalist in the truest sense. In this job, I've been able to lead others on a primary mission of serving the community. What we do really does matter.
Angus Barn hosted the event. Former WRAL News anchor David Crabtree was also honored and inducted into the NCAB Hall of Fame. David and Rick, we congratulate you both on your incredible service to this community, the state, the entire broadcasting industry, and to us right here at WRAL.
We have the best of the best. Congratulations to Rick. Well, a new semiconductor research hub led by NC State is getting $39 million in federal money. The university is partnering with Wolfspeed and North Carolina A&T to create the hub called CLAWS. It'll work to develop components suitable for high power and high temperature electronic applications. The project is one of 8 hubs nationwide receiving funding from CHIPS and Science Act. We'll be right back.
As you get into your car, tune to WRAL News Plus on your radio. In Raleigh on 99.3 FM. In Durham, 96.5 FM. And everywhere on 101.5 HD3.
It is 8:26 on your Friday morning. I'm Michelle McConaughey. Starting off a little cloudy and misty, but it's going to make way for some sunshine later on today. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner with a look around town.
Still pretty gray out there. We're taking a live look at Wilson's. A little bit breezy. We have our winds still coming out of the northeast at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. 64 in Wilson, cloudy at 64 in Durham, cloudy in Fayetteville at 65. So pretty uniform conditions across our viewing area. Expect cloud cover this morning, but as you're headed home from work or school, we should begin to see a bit more sunshine. Our temperatures this morning have been great for exercise in the 60s, and we'll climb into the upper 70s this afternoon. The clouds begin to break up around and after lunchtime. Brian.
Elizabeth here at 8:27. We're still watching this crash on 440 westbound at Lake Boone Trail. Still have Raleigh police on the scene there. A 5-minute delay showing up, especially between Glenwood Avenue heading out toward the Lake Boone Trail area. Elsewhere around the triangle, I'm watching a water main break in Durham. This is at Elizabeth Street at Dowd Street. Live pictures from the scene show them on the scene trying to make those repairs. Avoid that intersection if you can through the rest of this morning's commute. Also look out for a crash on 85 northbound between I-40 and Churton Road in Hillsborough.
Thank you, Brian. Raleigh police are investigating a shooting that sent one person to the hospital. It happened on South Saunders Street last night. We're told one adult was hurt and taken to the hospital. They are expected to survive. No word yet on a suspect or arrest. And the World of Bluegrass Festival returns to Raleigh this weekend with 2 full days of bluegrass music. The festival organizer, IBMA, says its last festival in Raleigh will be next year. The city is planning a different bluegrass event for 2025. WRAL is a proud community sponsor. And next on Fox 50, the 80-degree weather may be returning soon. Elizabeth will tell us when. And then next on Today, Al Roker is at Universal Studios in Orlando for a first look at the new.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
We are stuck under the clouds right now, but look up above the clouds and all that blue sky. As soon as we get these clouds to break up, we're going to see sunshine for the remainder of the day today. I'll show you when the clouds break up where you are.
Plus, the countdown is on to avoid a government shutdown. The new developments from overnight as lawmakers worked late scrambling to reach a deal and what it could mean for you if that deal is not reached.
IBMA Bluegrass Live kicks off today in downtown Raleigh. Coming up, I'll explain what happens next after the festival leaves the area in 2 years.
8:30 is the time right now on your Friday morning. Thanks for making us part of your routine. I'm Jeff Hogan.
And I'm Michelle McConaughey. Yeah, a lot of people might be heading out to bluegrass today to listen to some music. And you might be looking outside saying, uh-oh. It doesn't look so good, but it's going to get better. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner tracking some cloud cover, and it looks like a couple raindrops right now in Warrenton.
Take a look at this. Warrenton, of course, up near the Virginia line, so it's fairly far north. But you can see definitely the drizzle happening there. We've had some patchy drizzle in parts of the viewing area, especially around the triangle this morning. Just started to pick this up on the camera. I'm not seeing widespread drizzle. This is the only camera that I see wet conditions right now. 64 is our current temperature. We have a wind out of the north at about 3 miles per hour. We take a look at futurecast. We're definitely going to be stuck in the clouds for the next few hours. But once we get to lunchtime, we start to see those clouds eroding from west to east. So by the time we get to 2 or 3 o'clock, we start to see some sunshine in the triangle. And by 5 or 6 o'clock, we're seeing it around Rocky Mount and Goldsboro. So just gradually, we'll see the back edge of the clouds moving eastward. Right now, it is 59 in Roxborough, but we're looking at mid-60s pretty much everywhere else. Fayetteville, 65, 64 Clinton, 63 in Goldsboro, 64 in Rocky Mount and Wilson. So some cloud cover this morning, still pretty gray at lunchtime, but into the afternoon, we'll see increasing sunshine, highs in the upper 70s. Coming up, we're going to have an hour-by-hour forecast if you're headed out to Bluegrass or to some of the big college games around our area this weekend.
All right, thanks, Elizabeth. We are now less than 48 hours away from a possible government shutdown. Lawmakers worked late into the night to vote on several funding bills on Capitol Hill. But despite that, there's still no clear path right now for Congress to avoid the shutdown. The House did pass bills to finance the Department of State, Department of Defense, and Department of Homeland Security. Those bills are expected to be dead on arrival in the Democrat-controlled Senate. A government shutdown is expected to happen October 1st if the Senate and House cannot both pass funding. A shutdown could have enormous impacts across the country as many government operations would come to a halt. That could include air travel as tens of thousands of air traffic controllers and Transportation Security Administration personnel work without pay.
Breaking news this morning, Raleigh police are working to make an arrest after an early morning shooting left 2 people hurt. Officers were called to Western Boulevard near Gorman Street just before 2:30 this morning. 2 men were shot and have been taken to the hospital by a friend there in a personal car with injuries that are not considered life-threatening. There's no word on what may have led up to this shooting. Fire crews in Smithfield are investigating an early morning fire at a McDonald's. Crews responded just after 2 this morning to the McDonald's on West Market Street. They were able to contain that fire to the kitchen area. The kitchen will have to be repaired, and the health department will have to re-inspect that area before the business can reopen.
A Raleigh police officer is hurt after a crash involving a patrol car. It happened around 8 o'clock last night on New Bern Avenue. The officer was taken to the hospital and is expected to be okay. There's no word on the other driver if they were involved. The cause of the accident is under investigation. And Raleigh police are investigating a shooting that sent 1 person to the hospital. It happened on South Saunders Street last night. The WRAL Breaking News Tracker was on the scene while several officers and first responders were there. We're told 1 adult was hurt and taken to the hospital. They are expected to survive. No word yet on a suspect or arrests.
New this morning, a Raleigh man is facing several charges, including statutory rape and kidnapping. According to court records, his name is Maurice Patterson. A 31-year-old appeared in court yesterday. A Wake County judge set his bond at $1 million.
Happening today, the state's largest school district will officially have a new leader. The Wake County school system swears in its new superintendent, Robert Taylor. He was recently deputy superintendent of the State Department of Public Instruction. He was superintendent of Bladen County Schools for 10 years before that. WRAL will be sitting down with Taylor later today to find out about his plans for the school system. The swearing-in ceremony is this afternoon, and you can read more about who Robert Taylor is and follow our coverage on the education section of WRAL.com.
First time in years, the IBMA Bluegrass Live will be able to get outside and play. It's not the only change, though, for one of Raleigh's biggest annual events. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey explains this is the second to the last year for the festival happening in Raleigh.
Between COVID and getting rained out last year, the festival is finally back outside, and music will be bumping here at the Red Hat Amphitheater all weekend long, starting tonight. This event has been happening in Raleigh for over a decade. The International Bluegrass Music Association announced that the festival will have one last run in Raleigh in 2024. Lauren Gold with Visit Raleigh says the city offered a competitive bid, but IBMA headed in a different direction attraction. The annual event has raked in about $88 million for the city over the years.
It worked. This grand experiment to see, quite frankly, whether fiddles and banjos could become an economic driver, which they actually have.
Now, organizers say that they do have plans to create a new, innovative music festival in 2025 once the Bluegrass Festival leaves our area. And if you want to come out today, you can always watch some free shows downtown starting at noon, and then the ticketed shows will start here at the Red Hat Amphitheater at 5 p.m. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News in Raleigh.
And WRAL is a proud community sponsor of IBMA Bluegrass Live. You can catch some of your favorite personalities down there live starting at 11 o'clock this morning with Brian Schrader. He'll be there today. Keely Arthur will be after him. Elizabeth Gardner down there tonight. And then tomorrow, Matt Tallhelm, Scott Mason, Ashley Rowe will all be there.
We have an update to a story that we first brought you as breaking news earlier this week. The Cumberland County Sheriff's Office has obtained a warrant for first-degree murder on a South Carolina man for the killing of Henry Downing Jr. on Tuesday morning. The Sheriff's Office says Thomas Blake is in custody in Georgetown, South Carolina. WRAL's breaking news tracker was on the scene on Tuesday morning on Lady Slipper Drive in Fayetteville, where officers found Downing with gunshot wounds. He died at the scene.
Tensions are rising this morning between the Detroit automakers and the United Auto Workers. This comes as the union threatens to expand its strike. The UAW is expected to announce more strike targets this morning. That'll happen at 10 o'clock. And it all depends on the progress in negotiations with General Motors, Ford, and Stellantis. The union confirmed yesterday it submitted a counteroffer to Stellantis during its first high-level meeting, giving the company less than 24 hours to respond ahead of a new deadline. Today marks 2 weeks since members first hit the picket lines.
College game day is in the Triangle this week as Duke takes on Notre Dame. The game day bus is in Durham, setting up for the big day tomorrow. It's the first time the show has come to the Bull City for football. Crews were setting up the outdoor set yesterday as Duke's a Bell Quad. And the man in charge of organizing the event for Duke tells WRAL they've been preparing for days.
We're really looking forward to having everybody on campus and getting the chance to showcase the best of both worlds here between our academic areas and at night our athletic campus and our outstanding football program.
Wiseman said that he thinks there could be more than 9,000 people on campus tomorrow for college game day. And ESPN announced that comedian Ken Jeong will join the panel as the guest picker for the game. He's known for many roles, including in The Hangover. He is also a proud Duke alumnus.
A month after the tragic UNC shooting, safety concerns are being addressed. The steps police are taking to try to make campus safer.
Plus, a lot is happening in the Triangle this weekend, from a Patti LaBelle concert to a way to celebrate pollinators. We have your out and about best picks.
And here just about 20 minutes before 9 o'clock, taking a live look at North Hills this morning. We are seeing some of that drizzle. The clouds are out there. It will dry out soon. Elizabeth Gardner will have our weekend outlook for some more sunshine.
Welcome back. On your Friday morning, you're taking a live look over Wilson this morning. A couple of clouds in the sky there, and the whirligigs sure are going. It's cloud cover for a lot of us this morning. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner has a live look in Rocky Mount right now. Raindrops on the camera, too.
Yeah, we've got more drizzle showing up here just in the last few minutes. We have dozens of cameras, and I'm usually flipping through them, really regularly, especially on a morning like this where the conditions are changing so much. And it was dry here on our camera in Rocky Mount just about 15-20 minutes ago. And now we've started to see a little bit of drizzle there. So expect to see patchy drizzle across our area. Reporting it at RDU. This is the observation reported from RDU. 64 degrees there. We are looking at the potential for some sunshine by mid-afternoon. Temperatures climbing into the upper 70s. Bluegrass Festival, of course, happens starting today. The musicians have been there since Tuesday. They have a whole business meeting and workshop there. But the rest of us get in on the act today starting at noon, 71 degrees. At 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, we should start to see some of that sunshine breaking out in Raleigh with upper 70s, and then nice and quiet and calm, fairly clear through the evening with temperatures in the 60s by the time the music ends at around 10 or 11 o'clock. We still have our low pressure system sitting offshore. That low should continue to sink southward and away from us excuse me, over the next few hours, and that's what's going to allow our sunshine to start breaking through the clouds. We take a look at wind speeds. Winds are fairly light in the triangle at 3. We're up to 10 in Fayetteville, again coming out of the north. Not gusty out there, just some steady wind at about really 5 to 10 miles per hour. 78 in Raleigh, 77 Durham, 80 in Fayetteville for us this afternoon with an increasing chance for sunshine. We'll watch that here on Futurecast. Pretty gray for us up until lunchtime, but you can start to see those clouds thinning out back to our west. By the time we get to 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we're seeing some sunshine around the triangle. And then by 6, 7 o'clock, we start to see more of that around Rocky Mount, Goldsboro down toward Clinton. So it's going to take some time to clear those clouds out today. 79 is our normal high. We'll see temperatures very close to that, not just for the next 5 days, but really for the next 7 or 8. We're just going to settle into a really nice pattern. Football Friday, I know at least some of the teams are having homecoming tonight. Temperature at game time likely to be in the mid-70s and then dropping into the 60s. If you're not dressed up for homecoming, that sweatshirt's going to feel good. Vikings play in Charlotte. The Panthers Sunday at 1 o'clock. At noon, 74 degrees. Game time, temperatures will be in the mid-70s and mid to upper 70s through the afternoon. So it should be really nice weather for football, no matter which game you're headed to. You know, it's going to be a big day at Duke tomorrow. They've got ESPN's College Game Day starting at 9 o'clock in the morning. Temperatures will be in the 60s at that point, but we'll climb into the upper 70s Saturday, around 80s Sunday. Whatever you have planned this weekend or into next week looks just fine.
Awesome, Elizabeth. Thank you. We now know the name of a student accused of sexual assault in a campus dorm at NC Central University. 18-year-old Christian Hopper faces charges. They include second-degree forcible rape and first-degree kidnapping. Police say the crime happened inside a restroom at Ruffin Hall between 1 and 2 Wednesday morning. Police say the suspect and the victim knew each other.
We have more details this morning about the steps UNC is taking to address safety concerns on campus 1 month after a shooting left a professor dead. University leaders heard from the campus police chief and director of emergency management about their plans for new safety measures. Chief Brian James said the department is looking at security camera placement and access, along with the possibility of license plate readers.
We also want to work with campus partners to consolidate our camera systems. We have a number of different camera systems on campus, and we're trying to look at a way that we can consolidate that to more or less simplify access.
Chief James said UNC is also looking at welcoming other law enforcement agencies to campus to better learn the area in the event of an emergency.
Possible child labor law violations at 2 chicken processing companies is causing the Department of Labor to investigate. The Purdue Farms and Tyson Foods investigation follows a report from the New York Times earlier this month. The report mentioned an underage migrant worker was severely injured while working for a sanitation company hired by Purdue in Virginia. Purdue says it plans to cooperate. Tyson has yet to comment.
Raleigh's Dix Park and surrounding neighborhoods are starting to see the signs of a makeover that has been years in the making. Crews rise above the Lake Wheeler Road on one side of the park. Developers and city leaders celebrated the groundbreaking for 2 20-story towers that will bring 675 apartments. The Weld development is going to be up across from the Gibson Play Plaza. That 18-acre playground and picnic space is part of the first phase of the park's transformation from a former state hospital to a destination for people to explore.
That means jobs, that means housing, that means an improved quality of life. And the park will be transformational for this community.
If we can add some activity along the perimeter of the park, giving it a connection to downtown, then I think it benefits both.
The Raleigh and New York-based developers of the Weld are donating $500,000 to the Dix Park Conservancy. That money will help build a trail system to connect new developments to the park and downtown.
A festival highlighting entrepreneurs and artists is happening this weekend in Raleigh, plus a whole lot more.
Yeah, there's a lot happening. It's time to look at Out and About's best bets.
Raleigh World Fest is happening tomorrow at Dix Park. There'll be live music, food trucks, shopping, panel discussions. The event is from 2 to 8 p.m. General admission tickets are free.
And R&B singer and actor Patti LaBelle will be in Durham tonight. She is part of the Forest at Duke Legends concert at the DPAC. She'll perform at 8 o'clock. You may need to get a babysitter, though, because kids under 6 are not allowed at her show.
Celebrate pollinators tomorrow at the Prairie Ridge Eco Station, formerly known as Gnome and Fairy Day Flutterfest, right? It encourages kids to come dressed as a pollinator to explore nature and crafts all around the park. It is on Gold Star Drive off Reedy Creek Road. For more of the weekend's best bets, just head over to the Out and About page on WRAL.com.
A deputy was called to Britney Spears' home in California for a wellness check. This came after it appeared that Britney posted a video showing her dancing with knives, although the caption said they were not real. The local sheriff's office says someone close to Spears called, concerned about her well-being. A sergeant went to her home and spoke with the head of her security over an entrance intercom. He told the sergeant that he was with Spears and there was no threat to her safety, and she did not want deputies to enter her property. That is when the sergeant left.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame makes an announcement, and Danny Glover plays an iconic Christmas character. Ashley Dvorkin has that and more in the Hollywood Nation.
Glover's classic role, Howard's spy adventure, and a star-studded lineup in the Hollywood Nation.
I ain't got no kind of plan.
The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame announced the first round of performers for the 38th annual induction ceremony. Chris Stapleton, Elton John, and Brandi Carlile are among the artists taking the stage, as well as 2023 inductees Willie Nelson, Sheryl Crow, Chaka Khan, and Missy Elliott. The event will be streamed live for the first time on Disney Plus November 3rd. Ally Brooke is back with new music. The former Fifth Harmony member released her new pop song, Gone to Bed, marking her return to the genre. It will be on her upcoming project next year. In addition, her Christmas EP, which includes 3 covers and 1 original song, will be available November 10th.
Santa took Christmas from us.
Danny Glover gets festive in today's first looks. Disney released the trailer to The Naughty Nine, featuring Glover as Santa Claus. The holiday heist flick centers on kids seeking revenge on Father Christmas for making the naughty list. It premieres on the Disney Channel November 22nd, followed by Disney Plus the next day.
Author of Argyle series, Ellie Conway.
And Bryce Dallas Howard gets caught up in the dangerous world of espionage in the first trailer to Argyle. She plays a reclusive author of a best-selling spy series whose quiet life is turned upside down when the plots of her books are used as a blueprint by a real-life spy organization. The cast includes Henry Cavill, Dua Lipa, Sam Rockwell, Bryan Cranston, and Catherine O'Hara. It debuts in theaters February 2nd.
All right, it's Ashley Dvorkin right there. Barbenheimer, move over. There is a new movie mashup coming to a theater near you. 2 new releases come out today. Paw Patrol, the Mighty Movie, and Saw 10. So the internet quickly jumped on this box office battle and is now calling it hashtag Saw Patrol.
Make sure you take your kids to the right theater.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, my goodness.
Don't mess that one up.
No. All right, it's the glittering new addition to the Las Vegas skyline. You've probably seen what it looks like from the outside, but soon people will get to go inside the Las Vegas sphere. The inside of it is 168,000 square feet of high-definition LEDs and 167,000 speakers. This weekend, U2 is claiming the first residency. The creator says the experience is something you cannot explain. It is just something you have to see for yourself.
Kind of like Swift Mania, right? It is ramping up. It's great news for the NFL, how Taylor Swift saved the NFL, right? It's just a rumor that she might be at Sunday night's Chiefs-Jets game in New Jersey, but it's getting some more steam here, apparently enough to send ticket prices soaring for the game. They've jumped more than 40%, some up to $2,000 for a ticket. The news of her possible appearance sparked the best single-day ticket sales yet for the Jets. That game will be on WRAL, 8:15 Sunday night. Now, all the cameras will be looking for her. The Detroit Lions can claim the top of the NFC North. David Montgomery scored 3 times last night. The Lions took down the Packers 34-20. They're 3-1 on the season now. The Panthers get their crack at them next week in Detroit.
And before that, the Panthers will be trying to get their first win of the weekend, taking on the Minnesota Vikings. Also looking for a win. That's on Fox 50 at 1 o'clock. We'll be right back.